The message arrived just after midnight, glowing harshly on my cracked phone screen. "Don't come tomorrow, please. The judge's family is elite." For a moment, I thought I was misreading it. I blinked, read it again, then again, hoping the words would change if I stared long enough. They didn't. They stayed exactly where she left them, cold and deliberate. My sister had always been careful with her words, but tonight there was no warmth, no affection, just a warning disguised as concern. Tomorrow was her engagement ceremony, the day she had dreamed about since we were children, sharing the same small room, whispering plans for a future that felt impossibly far away. She was marrying into power now, a family spoken of in hushed, respectful tones. Judges, lawyers, influence, the kind of people who measured worth by surnames and silence, and I didn't fit. I sat on the edge of my bed, the same bed I'd slept on for years, staring at the peeling paint on the wall. Memories crowded my chest, walking her to school when our parents couldn't, selling my old watch so she could pay a semester fee, standing in lines, making promises I didn't know how to keep, just so she wouldn't feel alone. Back then, she used to squeeze my hand and say, "When I succeed, you'll be proud of me." She didn't say, "You'll stand beside me anymore." A voice note followed. Her voice was soft, almost apologetic. "You know how people talk," she said. "His family notices everything. Your clothes, your job, our background. I don't want them asking questions. Questions, as if my life was something to hide." I didn't reply. I couldn't trust myself to type anything that wouldn't shatter what little dignity I had left. Instead, I opened my cupboard and took out the only decent shirt I owned. I held it for a long moment, then folded it neatly and placed it back, not because I wasn't coming, but because I was finally tired of begging to belong. The room felt heavier than before, as if the walls themselves were listening. I lay back and stared at the ceiling, realizing something painful and freeing at the same time. Sometimes betrayal doesn't come from enemies. It comes from the people who know exactly how much their words will hurt, and say them anyway. And my sister had no idea that by telling me not to come, she had unknowingly awakened a past she thought was long forgotten. The courtroom smelled of old wood and quiet authority. Every sound echoed there, footsteps, coughs, even the way fear settled in your chest. I remember standing in the defendant's place, hands clenched, trying not to look like someone already defeated. I had been accused of something I didn't do. A business partner I trusted had vanished overnight, leaving behind forged papers, missing money, and my name signed neatly where his should have been. Friends who once called daily stopped answering. Relatives avoided my eyes, and my sister, the same sister who now worried about elite families, told me it was better if I stayed quiet. For a while, I stayed quiet, too quiet. That silence almost buried me. The lawyer assigned to me barely listened. To him, I was just another case file, another man without influence or connections. But when the judge entered, something shifted. He wasn't loud or dramatic. His presence alone commanded attention, like the room knew better than to test him. He asked questions no one else bothered to ask. Why did the documents appear after the partner disappeared? Why were the signatures inconsistent? Why did the bank records show transfers made while I was officially out of the country? Each question landed gently, yet precisely, cutting through assumptions like a blade through cloth. For the first time since the accusation, I felt seen. Hours passed. My heart pounded so loudly I thought the whole courtroom could hear it. When the verdict came, it didn't arrive with celebration or relief, just truth. Not guilty. The words didn't erase the months of humiliation, but they returned something more important. My name, my dignity. Outside the courtroom, I stood unsure of what to do next. The judge walked past me, then stopped. He looked at me for a moment longer than necessary, as if measuring something beyond the case. You stayed calm when the world was eager to label you. He said, "Remember this moment." I thanked him, my voice shaking. He nodded once and added, "Stay honest. One day, the same people who doubted you will pretend they always believed in you." Life didn't suddenly become easier. There were no apologies waiting, no doors opening overnight, but something inside me hardened, not into bitterness, but resolve. I worked quietly after that. No announcements, no explanations. I learned that power grows best in silence. And years later, when my sister spoke proudly about marrying into a judge's family, she never once asked which judge had taught me how to stand tall without making a sound. On the morning of the engagement, I told myself I wouldn't think about it. I made tea, let it cool untouched, and sat by the window watching the street wake up. Somewhere across the city, my sister was getting dressed, surrounded by laughter and approval I was never meant to hear. I stayed home, just like she asked. The phone rang once, sharp and unexpected, breaking the quiet I had forced around myself. An unknown number. I stared at it for a moment, ready to let it fade. Something stopped me. Maybe instinct, maybe fate. "Hello." There was a pause on the other end, the kind filled with recognition. "Is this you?" The voice asked, calm and measured. "Yes." I replied, unsure. "I'm calling from the court," he said. From the bench, my breath caught, time folded in on itself. I knew that voice. It had aged, deepened, but the weight behind it was the same. The voice that once asked the questions no one else cared to ask. "I was informed this morning," he continued, "that my son's engagement involves your family. I didn't speak. I didn't trust myself to. And I was also told," he added gently, "that you were asked not to attend." Shame and disbelief twisted together inside me. Not because he knew, but because I had agreed to disappear so easily. "She doesn't know who you are to me," he said, "but I do, and I won't allow a union built on embarrassment and silence." Outside, a car horn blared. Life went on, unaware that something fragile inside me was cracking open. "I remember you," the judge said. "I remember how you stood there, alone, while everyone else had already decided who you were." My throat tightened. "Come," he said simply, not quietly, not at the back. "Come with your head up. Sit where you can be seen." I tried to refuse. Habit, fear, pride, all of it rushed forward. "Sir, I don't want to cause trouble." There was a pause, then firmness. "Truth never causes trouble. Pretending does." The line went dead. I sat there long after the call ended, phone still pressed to my ear. My hands were trembling, not from fear, but from something I hadn't felt in years. Permission, not to attend a ceremony, but to exist without apology. I opened my cupboard again. This time I took the shirt out. I ironed it carefully, slowly, as if each crease was a memory straightening itself. As I stepped outside, I realized something unsettling and beautiful. The place my sister was most afraid of, that elite world of judgment, was the very place where my silence was about to speak louder than any explanation. And none of them were ready for it. The hall fell into a strange, heavy quiet the moment I walked in. It wasn't silence born of respect, not yet. It was curiosity, confusion, the subtle pause people take when something doesn't match the picture they were expecting. I felt eyes follow me as I moved forward, whispers brushing past like shadows. At the front, my sister turned. For a second, she didn't recognize me. Then she did, and the color drained from her face. Fear flickered there, quickly followed by panic. She searched the room as if hoping someone would stop me, explain me, erase me. Before she could say a word, the judge stood. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't need to. The room adjusted itself around his presence, chairs straightening, conversations dissolving. Before we continue, he said calmly, "There is someone I want to acknowledge." His eyes found me. This man, he continued, resting a hand on my shoulder, stood alone in my courtroom years ago while the world rushed to condemn him. He chose dignity when bitterness would have been easier. The air felt thick. Every word landed cleanly, without force. He reminds me why justice matters. The judge said, and why character cannot be measured by background, wealth, or appearances. My sister's eyes filled with tears. Not performative, not strategic, real. After the ceremony, she found me near the exit, away from the applause and polite smiles. Her voice shook when she spoke my name. I didn't know. She whispered, "I thought you were struggling. I was scared they would look down on us." I looked at her, really looked, and saw not cruelty, but fear dressed as pride. I was struggling. I said softly, "Just not in the way you thought." She cried then. Not because she was exposed, but because she finally understood what she had nearly lost. "I'm sorry," she said again and again. I believed her, but forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting the lesson. The sweetest revenge wasn't standing in that hall or being honored by a powerful man. It wasn't the whispers turning into admiration or the sudden respect in unfamiliar eyes. It was this: I didn't have to explain myself. I didn't have to defend my worth. I didn't have to ask for a place. The same door that was once closed to me opened on its own. As I walked away, applause rose behind me, not loud, not dramatic, but sincere, and I realized something that stayed with me long after that day. Those who are ashamed of you before success will be the loudest to claim you after it. True strength is never loud. It arrives quietly and stays.